Ladies and gentlemen, it was just 24 hours ago that people were like, you still think Trump is an anti-war president? Do you still think he's going to bring home Americans? The underlying theme, what motivates these petulant imbeciles to tell you that is that you could have had Clinton, who would have been infinitely more hawkish and militant, who would have sent tens of thousands of Americans back to counterinsurgency conflicts forever, who would never have withdrawn Americans or laid the groundwork for a withdrawal. And you could have had that without the media meltdown and without the tweets and personality. You might not have had the record low unemployment, 5 million people lifted from poverty. Fact. Look below in the description section. Poverty in 2016 was 12.7%. Poverty now in 2018 is 11.3%. It's probably lower. That's not 2019 figures. Record low unemployment, signed the First Step Act. First president to step foot in North Korea. Got us out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And then they say, well, look at the tariffs, look at his personality, look at his behavior, he's so unstable. The Pentagon was stunned. Officials he tried to interfere in the 2020 election. That's why we impeached him, based on no direct evidence. Just correlation equals causation. Everything that you heard was not the case with Clinton. Cash flowing into the Clinton Foundation. Anyway, correlation shouldn't imply causation. Money, millions upon millions from UBS, Boeing, Uranium One, weapons deals, countries, 85 donors giving $156 million into the Clinton Foundation, beneficial treatment taking place. No correlation. Correlation can't equal causation. But with Trump, they impeached Trump. Why? Because everybody knows Biden, with his Republican vice president, his promise for only one term, the fact he told coal miners to learn to code, and the fact he's losing money every quarter, that's Trump's direct political rival. Clinton is going to be nominee. And Democrats are going to run on keeping Americans there forever. But here, Iraqi parliament votes in favor of expelling U.S. troops. Wall Street Journal, CNBC, Iraqi parliament calls for U.S. troops to be expelled. Coalition, so Axios, Trump officials tried to stop Iraqi expulsion vote. Yeah, right. Okay. It's unbelievable. They always have to, there's nothing that they can, government officials are familiar with the situation. According to 2 U.S. officials, an Iraqi government official familiar with the situation, the sources of today's media are worthless. Sources, unnamed sources, are Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So just anytime you hear sources say that Trump gave classified information, how do you know? David Brock said he's actually a source, but we're just going to call him a source. There used to be sources, like if you're talking about, a journalist like Seymour Hersh. He's known to have 2 or 3 or 4, pristine, amazing sources that always give him the right information. You want to know what media and the 30-something, 40-something imbeciles who grew up, the greatest president in their lives was President Obama, who destroyed Libya, and whose failed NATO intervention not only destroyed Libya, but helped, just horrendous. There are now actual slave auctions in Libya because of President Obama's foreign policy. But when Seymour Hersh came out with a bunch of revelations from his sources, media and pundits and imbeciles on the left said, no, you expect me to believe that? You expect me to believe that just from a source? Now, everyone, CNN, Axios, MSNBC, or I should say New York Times, Washington Post, they have a source. Sources say this, sources say that. There's no evidence of anything. The only thing we know is that the Iraqi parliament called to expel U.S. troops from Iraq. God bless America. God bless the men and women who served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and throughout the world in counterinsurgency conflicts because of irresponsible leaders like Bush and President Obama. Irresponsible leaders who lack wisdom, leaders who didn't want to upend and rock the boat and wanted to just play ball. We have to stay there forever. Sorry. And then you get Then you get people who are all over the place. So Howard Dean is supposed to be a leftist. Okay. The Dean Scream. Remember the Dean Scream? The worst political stunt in the history of politics until Elizabeth Warren took a DNA test and failed it. Howard Dean, nice job, Trump and Pompeo, you dimwits. You've completed the neocon move to have Iraq become a satellite of Iran. Well, that already happened. When the Dean Scream was taking place, that already happened. The second Bush engaged in regime change there, it became that. But here, you have to be the dumbest people ever to run the U.S. government. Yeah, I know, record low unemployment, record highs in the stock market, household median income up. Yeah, tell us more. The economy is fantastic. We're bringing home Americans. First president to step foot in North Korea. Tell me how this compares to President Obama's foreign policy. Getting us in, I don't know. We can go on forever. There's like 2 or 3 countries, 3 countries total that we were not in before President Obama. He actually added more countries for us to engage in military interventions that even Bush didn't. So let's continue. You can add that to being the most corrupt. Yeah, most corrupt, right. Having servers with top secret intelligence on them running for 4 years is more corrupt than anything Trump has ever done. That's a fact. Trump never worked with Russia. The media meltdown has warped the minds of people like Howard Dean. I mean, they know they're lying anyway, so get these guys out of here. And then you have breaking, Iraq Parliament votes to expel U.S. military from Iraq. So it's time for PM Abdul Mahdi. It's time for American troops to leave. Wow, this is fantastic news. This is New York Times journalist. Okay, this is fantastic news. Iraqi Parliament votes to expel U.S. military from Iraq. The Prime Minister, Abdul Mahdi, it's time for American troops to leave. Wow, it is long overdue. God bless the men and women and the people who have sacrificed soldiers, American soldiers, their families, the untold sacrifice of families and of men and women who have tried to implement, because they've done their job honorably. The United States military has done its job honorably. It's the people who are in Congress who are dishonorable. It's the Democrats and Republicans, because I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not a Republican. It's the Democrats and the Republicans who say things like, we just can't leave until, the setting is right. It'll never be right. France, in Vietnam, Russia and Afghanistan, countries before us have failed. We too failed. And it's not because of any lack of heroism. The United States military did exactly what they did above and beyond. American soldiers who have fought and served and sacrificed for this country did above and beyond. We couldn't stay in Vietnam forever. We can't stay. And this is not Germany or Japan. And President Trump is bringing home Americans. Yeah, that's right. What happened to that general led to this. Now, if they want to be petulant and they want to say, let's talk about the geopolitical implications. You can shove it up the geopolitical implications. We've been there for around 20 years now. These Americans need to be home with their families. The Iraqis want us out. President Zelensky said no quid pro quo. President Poroshenko said no quid pro quo. Democrats said you're lying. The Iraqi parliament says get out. Democrats say you're lying. Anything they hear is like, and then they say, Trump, he didn't really mean this, Then you get Slate. Pentagon officials reportedly stunned by Trump's decision on general. Stunned? The Pentagon officials were stunned? So who cares? They're government employees. Who cares? The executive branch runs foreign policy. That's why I could never vote for Clinton. People were so like, why are you... When I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, before I became a Trump supporter, they're like, oh my God, And then you have Trump threatens Iranian cultural sites. He's doing it for media. That's not a legitimate military target. He knows he's not going to engage in that. And people say, oh, well, look what he did with the general. President Obama did that monthly. Actually, weekly. He took out leaders all the time. Anyway, that Democrats are like, oh my God, okay, what do we do now? Okay, yesterday they were like, you see what he did? He's a militant. He's not bringing home Americans. And then 24 hours later, Iraq's like, please leave. And then the Democrats are like, oh my God, what do we do now? Oh yeah, so he's bringing home Americans. But it's emboldening the Iranians. Then you have AOC, like, you're a monster. Unfortunately, there are now slave auctions in Libya because of President Obama's foreign policy. You will never hear AOC call President Obama a monster. Trump's threat to Democrats is worse than the actual repercussions of President Obama's foreign policy and Bush's foreign policy. There will never be the groundwork for us to just leave and for them to have their own version of Debbie Wasserman Schultz cheating Bernie Sanders, and then they can blame Russia like we did on our fantastic democracy. Oh, you're learning from us good. Oh, good. We've done our work here. You cheated your own primary. We've done our work. Thank you. Oh, we've done our work. You're just like us. Now we can leave. What's the date? Oh, it's 300 years from now. Now Democrats are like, oh yeah. What did Pete Buttigieg say? It's like unbelievable. How they spin this is just amazing. How they spin all of this. It's like... How they spin this. They're talking about, no, military operations are halted against, the organization I can't talk about on YouTube. Do you think it's going to be halted forever? And furthermore, they have their own military. We've spent hundreds of billions. They have their own military. We're not leaving them with slingshots or, They have their own military. It's like Democrats, if Clinton had won, okay, this would never have been happening. We would never have the first president ever in North Korea beginning detente. We would not have Americans now leaving. What Trump did with that general forced their hand. Okay? Forced their hand. They now... Look. The Iraqi parliament has spoken. The Iraqi parliament has spoken. And I just... let's listen. Okay, I can't wait to see... Oh, my God. I can't wait to see how Bernie Sanders responds to this. What is this? People, we still don't know about the president's decision making. None of your business. What did you ask about President Obama's decision making on the endless drones? Okay, then don't ask if you didn't. But we do know that military efforts to defeat are now on hold. They're not on hold indefinitely. We know that Iraq's parliament voted to expel U.S. troops. Mazel tov, thank God. American men and women need to be home with their families. We know that our embassy in Iraq remains under... Yeah, we shouldn't even have one there, actually. I don't even want one there. We are not safer. Oh, yes, we are safer. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all what he just said. Nowhere here is that American soldiers are being brought home. Nowhere. I mean, it's like makes no sense at all. So they can't address the fact because they were riding high in terms of, Trump's not bringing anyone home. High five, liberals. High fives, fellow liberals. Yeah, he's not bringing anyone home. Oops, he is now. What? Oh, now it's the geopolitical ramifications. The geopolitical ramifications. These people are hilarious. If you said a word to them, they'll wilt and crumble. But then they talk about geopolitical ramifications. We have to keep Americans there for the next 400 years. It's just smart policy. And we wouldn't be there if it weren't for Max Boot and Bill Kristol, who are now voting Democrat. They're now Democrats. If the rebuttal is, oh my God, it's going to descend into chaos. No, they have a military. We have trained them. We have given them 20 years worth of training, state-of-the-art equipment, whatever. Look it up. Each defense secretary since Bush has been like, we've done this, we've done that, look at this, we've done this, we've done that, we've done this, we've done that. Look, we have sent them billions in this, billions in that. Okay. So that's, what more can you do? We shouldn't have, if we had left immediately after, we should have, but I can see the point, like, hey, look what happened in Libya. You left immediately after, and then, the country is in chaos. But that's not what took place. Now Democrats don't know what to do. President Trump is right again. He's right. They were talking yesterday about how, oh my God, the militancy of this man, he's so unpredictable. We're unsafe now. And oh yeah, you know what? He was the real anti-war president, huh? Oh yeah. I don't even have social media, and I still had to hear it. Okay, I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook. But some people are like, oh yeah, Trump. So you could have had Clinton without all the tweets and stuff. It's like, yeah, no. We would not have. We're leaving now Iraq. We're leaving Afghanistan. We're leaving these places. We're leaving them. Thank God. Thank God we're leaving them. And it only happened because of Trump. That's why he won. That's the biggest reason he won, because of the foreign policy difference. That's why Tulsi Gabbard has a crossover appeal. That's why Bernie Sanders used to have a crossover appeal. Let's look at Bernie Sanders. Please, let's see what... Is he praising Trump? Let's see. Let's see. I'm proud to have opposed all of Trump's military budgets. Okay. So I guess he kind of gave, not support, but all that suffering for what? And he lists the people wounded and who've died. It's nearly 17 years since the war started. Yeah. You told people to vote for the woman who voted alongside Bush and Rumsfeld and Cheney. So they're all over the place. We need to leave. People are like, this is one of the few times I'll talk about foreign policy on this channel. Because I have a great segment on my H.A. Goodman's other channel. People are like, what are your thoughts on Iran, H.A.? Yeah. Well, if it led to us leaving, then Trump has managed to do something that nobody else has. No other president could have done. He's the definite, and I was still right. Most of the time, I'm right. I said yesterday he's still the anti-war president. People are like, oh yeah, he's not. Look what's taking place now. Give me your thoughts below. This is a monumental moment in U.S. history. President Trump is bringing home Americans. Iraq wants us out, so it's not like Trump's hands are like, oh, he could just wave his hands up and say, hey, I'm aim to please. That's democracy. They have a parliament. They voted. Now Democrats are going to be like, no, we got to stay. And Trump will be like, now we're going. And then they'll say he's a despot and a tyrant and authoritarian. This is hilarious. President Trump signs prison reform, criminal justice reform legislation, brings home Americans. He's bringing home Americans. First president to step foot in North Korea. Record low Black and Latino unemployment, record low unemployment nationally. Household median income up for all Americans. And he's the authoritarian. And he's the despot. He's the tyrant. No, you're the tyrant if you think that. You're the despot if you think that. You're the authoritarian that cares about... You can't find people who have more of an authoritarian bent than the climate change zealots who are like, hey, you gotta stay there forever, no big deal. Like, no. Endless military conflict is infinitely more of an issue than climate change. Why? Because climate change, you have to have the entire planet on the same page to make an actual noticeable difference. With foreign policy, there are still nuclear weapons. Oh, and by the way, what was that Uranium One deal? That was interesting. Democrats, it's tough on Putin, yeah. Give me your thoughts below. President Trump does it again. The naysayers are like, they don't know what to do. Within 24 hours, they were gloating, and now they're like, oh, how do we spin this? This is why I voted for President Trump. One of the main reasons. This is the biggest reason. He got the Iraqi parliament to kick us out, which is what we needed a leader to bring home Americans, and that's what he's doing. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. Amazing. If you're a veteran, if you're a soldier, active duty, or if you're, served in the American military, God bless you. God bless your families. Thank you.